Good morning everyone. My name is Vishnu Kumar Shukla and I got recommended recently from the 18 SSB Allahabad. So talking about my 5 days journey, it began 2 months earlier when I joined the Militaire Academy, and under the leadership and guidance of Dr. Anil Shukla sir, I got to know what a person is actually required to do there in the 5 days process. So starting from day 1, when our OIR as well as the PPDT test was to be held, in the officer intelligence rating test, we had good amount of practice here at the center of verbal and non-verbal reasoning. So those 2 tests, they went very easy, very good for me. Second part of the same day was the PPDT, that is the picture perception and discussion test. So for that test, sir has always told us that our story should symbolize our personality. That is, we should think of the central character as ourselves and try to prove ourselves as an effective leader by our actions, our thoughts and our work. So I did accordingly and I got screened in. So there our day 1 got ended and we the students, those were retained for the further 4-day test. They began their preparations for the further test. In day 2 we had our psychology test. So in psychology test we have the TAT, that is the thematic perception test, where also our sir had told us that these 12 stories should also symbolize ourselves. We should think how we can prove ourselves into that pictures. Such as one picture I remember, there was a fort. So I made a story related to the Nana Rao Park and the fort that is here in Kanpur itself. So that was related to my city as well as myself. So the same thing I also followed in the other 12 stories. And the lastly, that was the blank story. So I also incorporated my life into that story also. The second test, that was the word association test, wherein by the teachings of sir, we got the idea about how the words are evaluated there and how these are to be written. So by practice here in the academy and also some practice at home, I was able to do that at ease. Third test of the same day was situation reaction test. In the situation reaction test, there were many different situations. They were 16 number, and we were asked to give our first response of reaction that we can do in that situation. So these were very essential because these our reactions to those situations defined our personality, how we think of our situation. So there also sir always told us that our reaction to a situation should also define our approach towards problem solving. So I did accordingly, and this test I was also able to complete. Then the same day we had our self-description test, where we were asked to write about ourselves, how I think about myself, my parents think about myself, my teachers, as well as the qualities that I would like to improve. So this test also signifies that how better a person knows about himself or herself. The same thing here in the academy, sir always told me that I should naturalize my performance and I should think and self-introspect myself, so that I am able to come up with all the answers. Further, the day 3 and day 4 days, these were the days of the GTO test. So in GTO test, sir has always told us that SSB GTO tasks are all about the cooperative spirit. That is to take the team members all together to work towards achieving the goal and not establishing self-hegemony. So similarly, I tried what my sir told, and successfully by God's grace, I was also able to implement the learnings of my teacher. So the day 1 of the GTO began with the group discussion. We had our group discussion. We had lecturate, group planning exercise, the progressive group task, where our group also stuck in the task 3. So there sir had told us that it is our attitude and our approach towards solving a task that matters. So keeping those points in mind, I also went, and eventually our group completed that task also. So on the same day we had our half group task. On the day 2, that was the day 4 of the whole selection process, we had our group obstacle race, the individual obstacles, and the command task. So these 3 tasks also symbolizes our effectivity in the group, our ability to work in the team and all such things. So we as a team, we worked and we were able to get the second position in the group obstacle race as well as in the individual obstacle task. We had the ideas of all the obstacles. Our groundsmen there, they briefed us very well about all those tasks, and we were able to complete that also. The last task of the whole process was the command task. So in command task, when I was the commander, I called two of my subordinates and we were given a task. So sir had always taught us that in command task, the real attitude of commander comes into play. So for being a commander, one should be an effective communicator. He should be able to communicate his ideas effectively. And thirdly, as a commander, he should also take care of his subordinates. So keeping all those learning in mind, I was also able to complete the command task. Then on the day 4 also of my process, I had my interview. After all the GTO tasks were done, I had my interview on day 4. In the interview, the deputy president there inquired me or asked me about my own personal self. So this thing also sir told us repeatedly that in interview, it would be a light conversation between me and the sir that was there about my own life, my own personal experiences, my education, my city, my parents, my grandparents, my family, and what all activities I did, hobbies. And one thing that sir told to all of us here was that we should never speak any lie there, because what happens when we speak a lie, after sometimes when the person sitting there will cross question us, we would certainly feel that we are stuck. So this thing sir told us to avoid. So keeping this in mind, my interview also went good. And after that, the complete process on day 5. Day 5 was our conference, where all the members, all the assessors that assessed me during these 4 days, they sat together and in the rectangular shape where one side I sit, and they asked me about how was my experience at the SSB, and how was my stay, how was the food there. So sir had told us that in such questions, one should always be positive and affirmative in his tone and should not be a complaining person, because there is no solution or no cure to a complaining person. So keeping that point in mind, I also answered those questions. And on the same day, around 2 o'clock, my conference result came and I got recommended from the 18 SSB. So summarizing all the process in a single line, sir told me to be myself, to keep in mind that leadership is not about starting first. Leadership is also about being in the middle, but taking care about all the persons who are in front of you and all the persons who are at the back of you. So this was my complete 5-day journey. Thank you and have a nice day.